Welcome back to Frida's Recipes. Today we're making paella. Cut 2 chicken breasts into small 1.5 centimeters cubes or 2 centimeter cubes like this. Season them with salt and pepper or with paprika and cayenne pepper if you need a little bit of extra flavor, and shallow fry them in a pan with vegetable oil, just like this. Then set them aside. Then in another pan, add vegetable oil, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil and 1 white onion or yellow onion, diced in small, tiny pieces like this, and saute them. The onion fry until a golden brown in color. When the onion starts to look like this, a little yellowy, golden brown in color, add salt and pepper to taste. It will quicken the speed of the cooking a little bit. Give it all a good mix. The salt at this point will help the onions color a little bit more. Add 1 bay leaf to the onions. Then take 3 or 4 medium cloves of garlic and mince them or grate them in. You could just take a teaspoon and a half of minced, pre-minced garlic as well. Add it to this mixture and let it continue to saute with the onions along with it, and mix it all up. Let the flavors all blend together. You have to make sure that the garlic is cooked so that there's no raw garlic flavor. At this point, add your threads of saffron. I added about a half to an eighth to a half a teaspoon of saffron in here, but I did break it up into pieces because I don't like to bite into whole ones. There's 1 jalapeno pepper sliced thinly into rings, and then 1 red bell pepper chopped into cubes. Let those also saute with the onion and the garlic. As you add each of these ingredients, they will add a layer of flavor and will make the entire thing taste even more delicious and in depth. Now, once all the peppers come to a softer cooked situation like this, this is when you add a teaspoon of paprika. And I went with a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I didn't want all the flavors to be overwhelming, so I kind of made it a little subtle here. You could add more or less depending on how deep you want these flavors to be. But this is what I added, and then I mixed these in as well. I also added 2 green onions chopped finely into little rings like this. I saved the green parts of the stem, the longer parts at the end there, to garnish at the end, but I cut the white and the light green parts into rings like this and added it to this mixture. Now mix it all thoroughly, let the flavors blend and amalgamate together. You can see how well everything is mixed. At this point, I added 1 teaspoon of oregano, and then I added 2 Roma tomatoes finely chopped into the mixture, as small as a cube as possible. Chop them finely and then add it to this mixture. Let it cook together. Mix it up and let it cook together. At this point, I'm adding my 2 cups of arborio rice. Now, generally, you would use a short grain brown rice or a bomba rice, which is the traditional rice that's used for paella in Spain. But this is what I had on hand, which is the closest thing. And the reason I made this recipe is to kind of finish off this arborio rice. I use this obviously for risotto most of the time, but it works incredibly for paella. It just makes it a little bit more creamy than the normal paella. So mix it up into all of the things that are in there. Don't add any of the stock yet or water if that's what you're going to use. Just mix everything up thoroughly at this point. Let the rice coat in all of these ingredients and spices. And remember, when you let the rice toast a little on the pan, it'll also bring out some of the oils of the rice as well, which will add a beautiful flavor. Once the rice is thoroughly coated in the ingredients and slightly toasted, now add 2 cups of your stock. I used here some chicken stock. I say 2 cups. I know you're supposed to add, double and triple the amount of the rice, but here's the thing with the arborio rice. Of course, you're supposed to let paella kind of sit in the water or the stock and kind of form a crust on the bottom, called a socarrat. But with the arborio rice, you actually have to add the stock a little at a time and keep mixing a little at a time until the rice is cooked thoroughly. Otherwise, you'll have like little plasticky pieces of rice that are uncooked at the end, and everything else will be soggy. So let the rice slowly absorb the stock and then keep adding a little at a time. Now, see, this is my 3rd cup of stock, I think I'm adding. So add the stock a little at a time until you get the tender, cooked state of the rice, like the cooked texture of the rice. Bring the stock to a boil and then put it on simmer. And as you see the rice starting to increase, as you see the water levels are starting to go down a little bit, start adding your chicken cubes that you already fried to the pot. Now you still have quite a ways to go before this dish is done, but at this point is where I started adding the chicken. I didn't want to add the chicken too soon because it's already like pretty much fried and it was cooked. And I don't like to cook the chicken entirely in the paella because I kind of like a crispy texture on my chicken when it's in the paella. I don't like it to be mushy and like steamed type of feeling. So at this point, I added the chicken and I let it cook together with the rice. About 10 or 15 minutes later, I did add 1 more cup of stock in here. And at this point is when I added the shrimp. I placed all of my shrimp all around the paella. And as you can see, the rice is not actually fully cooked yet, but it's getting there. It's closer. It does need, I think I probably added 1 more cup of stock near the end. I'm not sure if I filmed it, but yes, at this point I added the shrimp and I kind of let the shrimp cook on both sides for about 3 minutes each. So because I added a little more stock, I did mix it up a little bit and the shrimp is now thoroughly mixed into the paella. But this is what the paella should look like at the end. The rice should be creamy and nice and fully cooked. Let it cook for 5 more minutes just to form the crust at the bottom called the socarrat. I hope you enjoy this recipe. Make sure to click like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.